buy a Ferrari when you want to be someone. You buy a Lamborghini when you are someone.
March 5, 2003, Geneva Motor Show. Today, Lamborghini was about to present its Aero, that one car that was about to decide its future. Lamborghini, which told the world what a supercar means, which used to be a supercar icon at one time, has now become a bankruptcy and was trying to keep itself alive. The car behind the cover was not a normal car. That was the key to Lamborghini's future, Audi's trust, and Volkswagen's risky bet of millions. Everything was at stake if this car had failed. Thousands of people would have lost their jobs, hard work was wasted, a supercar icon would have been lost forever. The company that a man had put his everything on the line for had no meaning. Exactly 40 years before this moment, the first Lamborghini to compete with Ferrari was taken from the world, which changed the whole world. And after 40 years, history was repeating itself. But the twist was that this could be the last Lamborghini. Finally, the moment comes. The cover is removed from the car. But wait a minute. So how did we get here in the first place? The story of Gallardo started 7 years ago. Actually, many years before that, after the 1970s crisis, people could not afford Lamborghini's expensive and fuel-thirsty V12 cars, because of which sales were down and Lamborghini company was in bankruptcy. Now, instead of powerful Italian supercars in the market, there was demand for small Japanese fuel-efficient cars. So in 1972, Furicchio Lamborghini sold its company to George Henry and Rand Leimer. The company is sold to Bologna Cordigan, which sells the Membran brothers in 1984. In all these years, the company has lost its track due to so many ownership changes. All the owners want to make cars that are affordable and fuel efficient, which is also called baby bulls, from the 90s to the late 80s. Lamborghini Huracan, Silhouette, and other cars like Yalva produce. But this car was too underpowered, which made all three models flop. This was the first time for Lamborghini. Lamborghini was the company that started Tom's supercar, and the company that made this game was out of this game itself. And while trying to save Lamborghini, Lamborghini's designer Marcello Gandini designed a new car. Marcello Gandini was one of the iconic designers who had designed Lamborghini Countach and Lamborghini Miura, and the design of Marcello Gandini was going to turn the car into a bullfighter. The car's prototype is named Project 140. Project 140 was the ultimate manifestation of Baby Bull, made by Marcello Gandini. Looking at the car, it looks like a bullfighter from the 80s. The car had a V10 engine which produced 372 horsepower, which was developed by Lamborghini within 7 months. The car could achieve a speed of 0 to 100 kmph in under 5 seconds. This car was looking promising. But then company went bankrupt, and then in 1987, the Membran brothers sold the company to American giant Chrysler. The 80s Lamborghini Guido was so close to being in real-life existence. The project was closed and it was left to be washed away. After the acquisition of the Lamborghini, Chrysler started working on a new project. They wanted to mix the design DNA of the Lamborghini with the American design DNA. They called their designers and made a roundish version of the Lamborghini Diablo, which is a 4-seater car, which was named Lamborghini Portofino, which looked more like an American Kate than an Italian bull. Thankfully, this car couldn't be advanced from the concept phase, but in the future Chrysler used this design clues in their Intrepid car. And nothing happens for the next 7 years. But after 7 years, Chrysler hires the Italian design studio so that they can revive the P140 design. Finally, after 7 years, Guido had chance to come into existence once again, an Italian design studio. Giorgetto Giugiaro took old 140 design and started design improvement work on it. He fitted the chassis and engine of old 140 on top of a new design. Finally, a prototype is made, which is named Kala. Prototype was much better than original P140. Kala chassis was made of pounded aluminum and the interior was improved. Car has detachable roof panels which can be stored behind the seat. And it was working prototype car, which was the overall positive review of this car. Everything was looking good, but 80s guide was still out of luck. Chrysler was struggling financially, so Project Kala was closed. And in 1993, Lamborghini was sold to Malaysian investment group company Megatech. But Megatech didn't have enough money to bring Prodrep to production. Lamborghini needed funding to replace Diablo model, and instead they could bring a new model. So once again in 1998, Megatech was trying to sell Lamborghini. And when Audi CEO Mr. Joseph found out about this in Germany, he ran to his boss Mr. Peach. At that time, Lamborghini was a loss-making company, so it didn't make sense to acquire Lamborghini. But still, he says that he should purchase a Lamborghini, and after a long conversation, Peach says that if you want to purchase a Lamborghini, you have to do all this work alone. Because if my family comes to know about this, they will be so mad. Clearly this didn't mean yes or no. But finally, in 1998, Audi acquires Lamborghini for $110 billion. Audi immediately starts developing a new supercar, and with the help of Volkswagen's technology and expertise, Lamborghini's fire and electronic issues are also solved. Because of which the car that comes out was the Murcielago, and because of this car, Lamborghini's reputation increases a lot among buyers. But now the real plan was about to start, for which Volkswagen allowed Lamborghini to purchase. Volkswagen had planned to create a supercar platform which they would use in Lamborghini and Audi. After so many years, Lamborghini was finally in the right hands, which had money, expertise, and vision. Now Kala prototype is being researched again. Lamborghini had planned to use Audi RS4 twin-turbo, 2.7 liters V6 engine in the new Baby Bull. But later there was an agreement that the car would be made from scratch, whose design inspiration would be taken from Kala prototype, and the engine would also be used in Kala prototype V10. The work of designing the car starts. The first design is given to the Zuccato company, and they make Canto prototype. When its design is rejected, then the design contract is given to Style Button. But due to the complex relationship between Lamborghini and Audi, the design of Style Button gets delayed. That's why Audi breaks the design contract with Style Button again. Later Audi decided to make the design themselves. But then also Italian designer Luc Donkerwalk presents a design. Luc Donkerwalk had worked on the first Mercedes-Benz Marcello, and when he presented the new design, everyone liked it. Lamborghini liked Luc's design so much that they offered a new job in Lamborghini. But Audi rejected this offer because Audi didn't want to lose its capable designer. And in this project, Walter de Silva also gets involved, who used to work in C10 Alfa Romeo. But now he is new head in the Audi sports car styling department, who was responsible for making major changes in the designing and styling of Gaidoa and Fabrizio, who worked with Ital Design. In Gaidoa, whose father designed the first black prototype, the biggest challenge of the designer was to closely observe the design attributes of Lamborghini and to modernize it in modern Gaidoa after almost 10 years of evolution. Finally, the design of Gaidoa was ready, and it was time to bring the sketch into physical existence historically. The entire prototype of the car was made physically, in which overtime improvement was done. But the Lamborghini and Audi of the Volkswagen Group had the pressure to prepare the Baby Bull as soon as possible. That's why the designing team was going to use the latest technology. The Guider was a completely new car. From its exterior body to the interior features was going to be designed with scratch. And this was not going to be a limited production car like the ordinary Lamborghini. Volkswagen Group and Audi knew that if they wanted to make the Lamborghini profitable, then they would have to make a car that could afford as many people as possible. Gaidoa of a mass production. So the engineers and designers of Gaidoa had to make sure that the car was made in a way that could be fitted in the assembly line production techniques. That's why body engineers used ICM Surf software. ICM Surf was developed by the Volkswagen Group in the 1980s, which could be used to implement the 3D visualization, analysis, and improvement of the car model. And to reach the deadline of designing, they let the Volkswagen and Audi use this software. First, the designers made the clay model of Gaidoa, then scanned it with a laser camera, point cloud data. Now designers import this point cloud data to ICM software, and with the help of software, design is manipulated and refined. In old techniques, if you wanted to refine the design, then first sketch was made. It was made in a real life-size car clay model, and it had to be sculpted by hand, which was expensive and time-consuming. But with the help of ICM software's photorealistic visualization and VR tools, all this work could be done digitally and fast. The designers could change the model and see the changes in the virtual reality center instantly. And because of this technique, the designing process of Gaidoa was much easier. After the design was completed, it was time to make the body of the Baby Bull. The final touches that were made by looking down in Gaidoa's design, the final design that was done because of that, it was a lot of design DNA that was found in it. According to the car design, many prototypes are made, and to improve its aerodynamics design, the most time is spent on the Audi wind tunnel. Since the car was mass-produced, the Lamborghini's iconic scissor doors were installed instead of conventional doors. Aerodynamically changed the car. The car's pillars and roof line were pulled back to get a fast back profile. The rear of the car was electronically controlled with a spoiler, which was deployed at 130 kmph and retracted at 18 kmph. Rectangle vents and intakes are installed in the car so that the powerhouse V10 engine can get proper cooling to achieve maximum aerodynamics. The underside of the car is completely fed. The car was to be made in such a way that it could beat any GT car available at that time. And at that time, the biggest rival of the Lamborghini was Ferrari 360 Modena. That's why lightweight composite is used to make the car, but it also needed extreme structural rigidity for which a special aluminum subframe is made, which was specially designed by Audi. For suspension, double wishbones of aluminium coil springs and conical adaptive FSD dampers are also installed, which can be adjusted according to the driving condition, and for better handling, anti-roll bars, anti-dive, and anti-squat geometry are also included. In the car here, many people were trying to refine the design of the Gaidoa, and other tough engineers were trying to figure out which engine can be used in the Gaidoa. The development of the engine of the Gaidoa was in the hands of two people, Massimo Seccarani and Maurizio Raggini. Both of them had to develop a completely new engine because the L140's V10 engine was a complete disaster. The first problem was the angle of the engine. L140's V10 engine was made at 72 degrees, which means the overall engine height was high, and because of the height, the rear visibility of the car was also low. On top of that, the gearbox was fitted right below the engine, which was connected to the oil pile area of the engine. And due to this setup, the center of gravity of the car was very high, due to which the stability and handling of the car was very bad, which should not be in a supercar, so there was no question of using the old engine. The most famous company of that time, Cosworth, was hired to make a new engine, in which the Quattro department of Audi was also going to help. So, the biggest change in the development of the new engine is that the new engine of Lamborghini is made at a 90-degree angle. By making the engine at 90 degrees, the overall height of the engine had decreased, due to which there was no need to redesign the car's hood. But the overall center of gravity of the car was lowered, which could have given better handling to the car. To make the engine more efficient and lightweight, the engine's head and block was made of cast aluminum. The engine is tuned in such a way that there is a regular interval between the two firing points, which makes the engine run smoothly. For this, engineers use a crank pin in the crankshaft, which could have fired 180 degrees despite the 90-degree V-shape. When the engine is tested in the prototype, the speed of the car generates so much G-force that the lubricant of the engine is stored in one side of the engine. So they try to get the engine out of the car and fix this problem, and they get the solution from the ship's diesel engine. The name of this solution was dry sump lubrication system. Finally, Monster's engine was ready. Engine was producing 493 horsepower at 7,800 RPM. And to provide fuel to such a powerful engine, 80-liter fuel tanks were also required, but due to the fastback profile design of the car, there was not much space left in the car to install such a big fuel tank. According to the calculations of the engineers, at least 80-liter fuel tank should be there, so the engineers changed the layout of the engine, and the engine is mounted vertically and its transmission is mounted rearward, and due to this, there is a space under the engine on both sides, and two 40-liter fuel tanks are installed there now. It was time to make the most important part of the Gaidoa. Power turret Lamborghini Gaidoa's transmission system. Audi was developing the Gaidoa, and Audi owns Quattro department. Quattro is an Italian word which means four, and obviously Audi wanted to make the Gaidoa four-wheel drive. And the Italian company Graziano Transmissioni was the one who made the transmission for the Gaidoa. This company made a special transmission for the Gaidoa. The biggest plus point of this transmission was that it was a four-wheel drive transmission, which could have reduced the power in front and rear wheels. In normal condition, the power ratio was 7:30. The interior of the car was given a typical German attention to detail. In the earlier Lamborghini models, plastic was used, but now the trend has changed. This car was to be mass-produced, so obviously, changes were made everywhere to enhance the driver's comfort and overall experience. Now better quality materials are used. Instead of hard plastic, the entire dashboard was covered with Alcantara premium leather. The steering wheel of the car was 3-spoke, the bottom of which was flattened, which could improve the car's access. In December 2nd, 2001, people spot Diablo, which looked quite different from the normal Diablos, which was obviously a test wheel for the car. This was the reason that Lamborghini is up to something. The rumor that Lamborghini was developing a baby bull car was true. People were closely observing every open source document related to Lamborghini. Like today, if anyone talks about GTA 6, then like fans react. The same was true of the Lamborghini fans. In 2001, while doing research, we came to know that Lamborghini recently registered two names, Stella and Gallardo, and they were right. Lamborghini chose Gallardo name for their baby bull. Francisco Gallardo was a bull breeder of 18th century whose name was Gallardo. Their bulls were very famous for their courage and aggressiveness at that time, which made the company think that this name would be perfect for their new car. Gaidoa was to be released in 2001, but it was delayed because the materials used in the Lamborghini Parts were not acceptable, so the company had to find new suppliers who could provide high-quality materials, and obviously it was delayed because of this, and now a new problem comes in front of the team before acquiring the body. Lamborghini produced more than 400 models a year with difficulty because of this. Lamborghini's factory in Italy wasn't large enough to mass-produce a car like the Gallardo. To expand the factory of Audi Lamborghini, they invest 130 million euros. The factory is divided into two parts, one part of which will be assembled by the Mercedes-Benz and the other part will be assembled by the Gallardo. After expanding the factory was so capable that it could produce 1,300 cars every year, which is a new record for the factory. And to make the SMB process of Gadoa fast, it was also divided into many parts. Gadoa's engine block and head were made in the Corsewood company, which was later shipped to the Sant'Agata factory in Italy. The work of making the transmission of the house was of Graziano, who was in Italy, who used to make the transmission in the Sant'Agata factory. The whole work of making the chassis of the car was in the hands of Audi. The aluminum subframe of the car was made in the center of Germany's Audi subframe was later shipped to Krupp Strauss. Later the whole body was shipped to Audi factory again, where the body was painted after corrosion protection. Later, the painted body was finally shipped to Italy, where the car was finally assembled. After many years of hard work, many rejected designs, engine prototypes, and the investment of Audi and Volkswagen's millions, Lamborghini Gallardo, the baby bull, was born. And now we are back where we started this video. 2003 Geneva Motor Show, where Lamborghini Gadoa was unveiled for the first time. And it was instant success due to the wheelbase and reduced overhang. The car got a very dynamic look with the dimensions and performance figure of the Gadoa. The Gadoa became a practical supercar due to its drive and reliability, and when the Gadoa was finally released, it took world by storm. Its rival was Ferrari 360 Modena and was 0.3 seconds faster. Gadoa was the first Lamborghini in America which people financed. Gallardo made record-breaking sales for Lamborghini. This car became a supercar icon in a short time. This car was so famous and iconic that it was featured in the world's most famous and successful cartoon show, Simpson. Gallardo gave Lamborghini an extra lifeline. Before Gallardo, Lamborghini only made 300 cars per year, which had increased to 2,000. This car was so successful that it was produced for a decade. The cars were just Lamborghini Gallardo. On the 25th of November 2013, a last Gallardo was released from the Lamborghini factory, which was painted in Rosso Mars color, but it was not end. This was just a beginning for Lamborghini. After the success of the Gallardo, Lamborghini could finally do what a man had done 50 years ago, for which he had put everything on the line.